Hello, it's Juliana Sproles checking in on the 28th of December 2021. Welcome to my candle corner. I have a pillar candle to make today and a few other shapes to show you and projects to update you on. So this is my 4-wick container candle in a Christmas theme. Ready to be trimmed. I have the top secured with popsicle sticks that were glued together to center those 4 wicks. So I'll just gently take that off now. Fancy piece of equipment, right? And I'll take my sharp floral shears that I got at Ace Hardware, and I'm going to trim at an angle down close to the wax without nicking or marking it. I'm going to keep them a little longer than necessary just so that they start burning properly, and then they will need to be trimmed every time they are lit. Because this is I believe it's a size 2 wick that has been primed, so it looks thicker and fatter. I soaked it in beeswax before I put it in. It gives it a little more structure. And so now my 4 wicks are here. I could even go with 5 on this candle and put one in the middle. I might try that next time. So, project number 1 update. And then we will have project number 2 is simply these 3 container candles with gold edging. These are very easy to find at places like Hobby Lobby. Sometimes I go with antique glass and old crystal, different types of vintage glass that would look more like this. But I think I did get these 3 on sale at Hobby Lobby because they were so pretty, and they have a wider, heavy, sturdier base. And it's a really great place to get candles just for little simple gifts. So I already glued my wick into these first 2, and I'll show you the 3rd one. I'm using a 3/0 small wick. It's a pretty small size wick. I've already soaked it in beeswax. I primed it. And I'm using, instead of a wick tab, I'm using high temperature, high heat glue gun and glue to center it in the bottom of my glass. And I just tamp it down lightly, gently in the middle. Like so. I'm using popsicle sticks with holes drilled in the middle that I ordered. You can make your own. And I'm just centering my wicks. So these 3 are now ready to pour. I like to center them and bend over the wick to help hold it in place. And I'll pour into the space to the side of my popsicle stick. So those are 3 ready to go. All right, I'll pour those in a minute. Now here I have my pillar candle, number 1 and number 2. I have a short one and a tall one. And I want a third one that's in between this height to make a trio. So I'm going to use this silicone plastic. This is actually a plastic mold, but I sprayed it inside with this Crafty Candles candle mold release. Dries fast, quick release, no greasy film. It's a 10-ounce spray container that I got at Hobby Lobby. It's distributed by Hobby Lobby as well. Sometimes I use it to help release the candles. I've only used it a few times, but it works well. You could also brush the inside of your container with coconut oil. I have used Goo Gone as well. It has a little citrusy flavor. It's good to get the excess sticky tacky glue or beeswax off of things. But you could spray the inside with this. The only problem is you got to be careful adhering your wick to the bottom of your container. Most molds, people just pull the wick right on through. But what I've done is I've taken a glue dot and left one side sticky and one side not sticky. I still have the sticker on here so it's not sticky. And I've covered up that hole in the bottom so the wax doesn't leak out. And then what I did was I just took my wick and I adhered it gently to the bottom of this pillar container, a mold. I adhered it to the bottom of the mold with my high heat glue. So it'll just stay there. And then once I pour it and let it set, maybe put it in the freezer, it will just pop right out. Because I want my wick tab and my wick to be in place. So this is one way that I've been doing it. So this one's ready to pour, and I'll make it so that it is taller than this one and shorter than this one. So that we'll have a nice trio of pillar candles there. And sometimes they don't come out completely perfect, but I don't mind because I like perfectly imperfect things. So funny story, here is a hexagonal diamond shape candle that I forgot to take the wick stick. I put a stick, I put like a wooden skewer in the middle of this so that it would hold the place for the wick, but I forgot to take it out before it hardened so fast that I cannot get it out now. So I might try to burn the wick. Sometimes you can get a wooden skewer or a wick to burn in there, but it's not really made for that, and I think it's too dense, so the wick, the fuel from the wax won't go up. But anyway, I want to remake this shape so that it can go in here. And I want to mention that it's really good to clean your glass with something. I love using glass spray by Myers, Mrs. Myers, and my flour sack cloths that I usually find at Walmart, 100% cotton. Flour sack cloth is affordable, and sometimes it'll leave a little lint, but overall I get my wax squeaky clean. So it shines and cleans the glass super well, and I love the smell of it. So it's one of my favorite parts of candle making is cleaning glass. And this was an inexpensive glass I found somewhere along the way, but I like the shape of it, and it has an iridescent sheen to it. So ideally, I will pour I've poured container candles into these before and they work well. I thought it might be fairly nice to put in my new candle like so. That's going to look super cool, geometric and spiritual in nature as we connect our sacred geometry and our, so look at how those colors are reflecting, so cool. All right, so we'll do that by using this silicone mold, and for this one I sealed up the hole. I put the wick through, and I just sealed the hole with some glue from the high temp glue gun. And then I have my wick tab secured onto the wick right there, and this is going to hold it in place. It's all very precarious and probably unorthodox, but again, I'm a hobbyist, not a professional candle maker or chandler, so I just make up these things as I go. And I want to set it in here so that I can get it somewhat even. It looks like it's tilting a little bit. Yeah, it's not going to be perfect, but there we go. Yeah, see, it's a cone. It's spherical in nature, conical in nature, right? So it's kind of tricky to get it flat. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect. There's a couple things here, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. So my wax is hot and ready. Let's pour our, let's see. Once I pour these, I don't want to move them. So I will move this here. To show pouring the candles. Alright, we're going to go in the order that I prepared them. We'll start with these three. How about that? So let's pour these. See if they're somewhat centered. Takes a little bit to get them centered. Okay. So I have my beeswax sitting in a double boiler. It's in a water bath so that it keeps it at a nice warm temperature but not too hot so as to change the color. We don't want it to discolor into a darker yellow, nor do we want it to lose its scent. All right, let's pour some peace, love, and happiness into these candles now. Peace, love, and happiness is usually the mantra I have. Okay. Peace, love, and happiness number 1. All right. When my pour pot is filled up a lot, it's harder for me to pour a thin, consistent stream. So I can do it. Peace, love, and happiness. Okay. All right. I haven't made that many candles this year. I'm a little out of practice. But that's okay. We can do it. Peace, love, and happiness to everyone. There. Once we get the stream going, it's nice. Okay. So that is my golden angular container candles, and hopefully I won't bump the table too much as those set. If I bounce the floor or bump the table, it sloshes the wax and makes them look a little messy. And do a quick check on the tops to see if the wick is centered. Pretty close to center. Sometimes can make a little adjustment. Again, perfectly imperfect. Okay, those will be good. Now, let's see, are we able to pour some more? Are we able to pour some more? Like this one would be cool to pour right here, wouldn't it? Okay, I'm going to pour it, and then I'm going to center the wick. My wick is a tiny bit too long. It's where I crimped it onto, I crimped the sustainer tab onto the wick, and then it's setting up just a little bit higher than necessary. It's making it tricky. So I'm going to move this out of the way, pour it, and then I will fix the wick. I will center the wick. Because we can do that when the wax is hot. When the wax is hot. Always keep a cloth handy. This is a nice big large pour pot that can hold, I think, what, 3 or 4 pounds of wax? And I keep the cloth handy to catch the drips, if there should be any. Again, peace, love, and happiness. I couldn't see because I was standing up, and I couldn't see. I overflowed that one. But I wanted to make sure it was full. The thing of it is, though, now, it's really okay because this is the bottom of the candle. So if there's a mark in it, it won't matter. And then this tab will be centered, and I can fix it later. I'm just going to let that one sit. Anything that overflowed, I'll be able to clean up. That's the great thing about beeswax. It cleans up very nicely. All right. Now, so that's for my hexagon base diamond shape silicone mold candle. We will unveil that later. Okay, now I want to be careful with the pillar because it needs to match these two, right? And we know about that. I want it to match those two. So here it is, all ready to go. I'm going to pour into this space. It's easier for me to pour if it's on the edge of the table, but these other candles are here forming their skin on top. I don't want to bump them. So I will try to pour this pillar with a visual of this little guy next to it so I know to go